Alif, Laam, Meem. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما. Amma ba'd, my dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I'd like to welcome you all to this wonderful show called Alif, Laam, Meem. For mashallah, for those who have joined us new to the show called Alif, Laam, Meem gives you the opportunity, inshallah, to try, inshallah, improve your recitation of the Qur'an. For yourselves to pick up the phone, recite, inshallah, and for us to listen to your recitation and provide you with a live feedback. Now, if you want to get involved and you want to recite, do call us on 0203 515 0757. And for those who live abroad and also want to participate and want to get involved, call us via the WhatsApp number. Both numbers are placed at the bottom of your screens. Now today, brothers and sisters, we are going through, inshallah, Surah Al-Sad. And the verses for today are from verse number 37 to verse number 40. So once a reminder to everyone that today's surah is Surah Al-Sad, verse number 37 to verse number 40. As usual, brothers and sisters, I'll be reciting these ayat, and after that going through them, looking out for the rules and common mistakes. So be ready, inshallah. Do have a mushaf in front of you and follow with the recitation. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب. صدق الله العظيم وبارك الله فيك. From verse number 37 to verse number 40 of Surah Al-Sad. So we now look into these ayat for the rules and common mistakes as well. So this is the opportunity, inshallah, brothers and sisters, to take notes, inshallah, and to listen carefully and attentively. So we begin with washayateen. So when the waw is joining with the letter sheen, make sure that whilst you are joining, that the sound of sheen does not go away. What that means is with the letter sheen, it has a quality which is exclusively for that letter, which is known as tafashi. So tafashi means to spread. Okay, the sound needs to spread across. Washa, washa. Now what happens is, especially when reciters join the letter sheen with another letter before or after it, the sound of the letter does go away, fade away. So we don't say washa, it's washa. Give the emphasis to it, inshallah, but don't hold on to it. We then move on to kulla. So kulla with the letter lam. Yes, the letter lam does have a shadda on top of it, but it does not mean that we stretch. And this is a common mistake. We cannot say washayatina kulla banna. It's kulla, kulla. The lam only has a fatha on top, and there are no signs of mad next to it. So you don't have an alif next to it, or a waw or a ya. Okay? And not even signs of mad muttasil or munfasil. So the bottom line here is we say washayatina kulla banna. Kulla. We then move on to the word banna. Now the letter noon does have a shadda on top as well. Now this letter noon has a separate rule as opposed to the letter lam or the letter shin. Now the rule particularly for the letter noon and meem is the ghunna. So if the letter noon or the letter meem has a shadda on top of it, and again to remind everyone, shadda is the symbol that you see on top of the noon, also referred to as a W, but the correct way to address this is shadda. Okay, now the letter that has a shadda on top is known as a mushadda letter. Okay, so these are some keywords that we need to be familiar with and we need to know of, inshallah. So I will be referring to a mushadda more often. So the letter noon is a mushadda letter, but the letter noon must be held onto and be recited with the ghunna. So kulla banna and not kulla bana or kulla banna. So make sure that you join the letter noon, number one. This is first priority. You need to join. Otherwise, you are defeating the purpose of shadda. So join. And number two is you need to recite with ghunna. Take the sound to the nose, inshallah. Wa ghawwas. And this is something very important as well. Now, you may be asking, like, why are we going through the mushadda letters? But we need to understand that each letter has a way to be recited, okay, has its own qualities, has its own exclusive way to be recited. So therefore we need to be aware of this. So waw is also another one. Waw has a shadda on top and it's a mushadda letter, but here the common mistake is where we make the waw full mouth. Now waw is not a full mouth letter at all. Okay, it's not even a hybrid letter where it's full mouth at times and empty mouth at times. No, it is classified as a tarqiq letter. So these letters, tarqiq letters, are those letters that are always made full mouth, regardless of which situation is put in, whether it has a fatha or a dhamma or a kasra, whatever it is, it's always an empty mouth letter. Okay? So here we say ghawwa, was, and not ghawwas. So we don't expand the lips, otherwise it will become full mouth. So make sure you keep that in mind, inshallah. وَآخَرِينَ مُقَرَّنِينَ مُقَرَّ, the letter ra. Now the letter ra is a full mouth letter in this situation because the letter ra has a fatha on top. Now the letter ra is not classified as a tafkhim letter because it is full mouth at times and also empty mouth at times. Okay, so we need to know the condition. When is it full mouth? Okay, when is it empty mouth? So inshallah, I'll touch on a couple of points explaining when it's full mouth. So one is if the letter ra has a fatha directly on top of it. That's number one. Number two is if the letter ra has a sakina on top and before it there is a fatha, then it's made full mouth. Okay, so those two are the most important ones that we need to know of and which are more frequent throughout the Quran. So muqarra, not muqarra. Okay, very important, inshallah. Fil asfad, asfad, with the letter sad, to not make the sad become sin. This is a very common mistake. Sad is an empty mouth letter. Sin is not an empty mouth. Sad is a full mouth letter. Sin is an empty mouth letter. So we don't say fil asfad, asfad. So keep that in mind, inshallah. Okay, the next thing is the letter dal. Now the letter dal here, you can see that by default it does have a kasra underneath it. Okay, but there is a rule that we apply which is known as qalqala, and this is for those who are new to this rule, qalqala. So qalqala, okay, in a nutshell, it means to bounce. Okay, bounce on certain letters or make an echoing sound on certain letters. Now here it's a bit different because we can see that the letter dal originally has a kasra underneath, but the rule is that if you stop on it, okay, which all of you will stop on this, that you change the kasra, the haraka underneath, into a sakina. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us with fil asfad, asfad, and not asfad. Very, very important, inshallah. هذا عطاؤنا, هذا عطاء, the letter ta. Again, ta is a fragile letter. It's a letter that can be very easily changed into ta if it is not recited correctly. So a lot of reciters do say ata. Okay, they change their ta to ta. Now we need to know the difference in terms of the makhraj. How is ta pronounced and how is ta pronounced? So the letter ta, before we even go to the makhraj, it is also it is a tafkhim letter. It is a full mouth letter. Whereas ta, it's a tarqiq letter. Now we move on to the makhraj. Ta is recited using the middle of the tongue, where it lifts up and it touches the palate at the top. As for ta, it is recited using the tip of the tongue. So even though, yes, both are tongue letters, but they're the difference between the two in terms of where they are actually recited from, inshallah, okay? So we need to differentiate between the two and we need to recite accordingly. We cannot swap, we cannot merge, we cannot change, okay? Every letter has been given its rule, its sifat, its makhraj, and they have been recited like this. Okay, and we need to maintain that. So keep that in mind. Then بغير حساب, the letter ghain, which I want to touch on. Now the letter ghain, it's a throat letter. To clarify, it is not a tongue letter, and this is a misunderstanding that some have. That ghain is a tongue letter, and therefore we recite it from the back of the tongue. If you do that, then unfortunately you'll end up reciting qaf and not ghain. Okay, so to clarify that, ghain is a throat letter. It's a huruf halqiyya letter. So when you are reciting the letter ghain, number one, you must make sure it's coming from the throat and not recited using the tongue. Number two is the letter ghain, it's a heavy letter. It's a full mouth letter. So we don't say bi gairi. And this is a common mistake. We recite to say bi gairi hisab. Now to say gairi, that is you using your tongue. That's not the throat. Bi ghairi is using the throat. Okay? Bi gha. And you should feel that slight of a vibrating sound in your throat. Bi ghairi hisab. And lastly, we end with verse number 40. وَإِنَّهُ عِنْدَنَا. So, عِنْدَ. If you look at that word, you see that there's a nun sakina followed by the letter dal. And this here, brothers and sisters, is a rule which is known as ikhfa. For some, you already know this. For others, you may not. Now, it's a revision for everyone. Okay, for those who do know, for those who don't. So this rule ikhfa is one of the 5 rules of nun sakin wa tanween. Okay, now to give a bit more detail to that is the letter, the rule ikhfa consists of 15 letters. In total, it has 15 letters. Okay, so if one of the 15 letters of ikhfa appear after a nun sakina or tanween, then you must recite with ghunna. So here we cannot say وَإِنَّهُ وَإِنَّ لَهُ عِنْدَ. عِنْدَ. It's عِنْدَ. You need to stretch the ghunna here, inshallah. Then وَحُسْنَ مَآب. So here the letter ba, we end with the qalqala. Ma'ab. We don't say ma'ab. And this is also a common mistake which is reoccurring, where reciters hold on to the sound. Ma'ab. It's ma'ab. Don't let the lips touch, and don't let the lips seal or close with one another. You need to allow them to disconnect. Ma'ab. Okay, let them disconnect and let that bounce take place, inshallah. Okay, this is the rule of qalqala. So yes, we have short ayahs today, but as you can see, we have a lot of rules that we need to apply in our recitation, inshallah ta'ala. And again, this is not just for today. This is for your entire recitation of the Qur'an. Whenever we recite in the Qur'an, we need to always understand that there are rules that need to be applied. And if we are not reciting with the correct rule, we are reciting incorrectly. So inshallah, I hope you're benefiting, and I hope you will be taking everything on board bi'idhnillah ta'ala and reciting the Qur'an the way it should be recited. Let's now move on to inshallah our next part of the show, where we listen to a recitation, brothers and sisters calling from different parts of the globe, and we assist you in your recitation, inshallah ta'ala. So let's take our first call up for today. We have Sister Begum on the line. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam, Ustadh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you today, sister?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. You may begin when you are ready, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Barakallah feek, sister, for your recitation. So, we begin with the letter ta, washayatina. Now, sister, here the letter ta, it does have a kasra underneath, and it is connected with the letter ya. But the letter ta itself, the makhraj does not change. Okay, and the quality that the letter holds does not also change. So what is the quality? The ta has the quality of isti'la, where the tongue needs to lift and the pronunciation should be full and heavy. Okay, so washayati, ti, and not washayati. So you can hear the difference. Okay, washayatina and washayatina. So there's a big difference between the two, and we need to maintain that. We need to maintain the quality of the letter ta, inshallah, wherever situation it is in. Okay, the next thing is the letter fa, another letter to focus on. This letter fa, it's a soft letter, zulfa. Try not to force the sound, inshallah. Okay, so when the tooth at the top drops and touches the wet part of your bottom lip, make sure it's not a heavy touch, a soft touch, inshallah. Okay, otherwise the sound will change. Okay, if you say zulfa, the sound changes. Zulfa, fa, just enough touch, inshallah. Okay, barakallah feek. I hope you benefited and I hope you will be taking it on board. Let's move on to our next caller, Sister Mehrun. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, sister, you may begin, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan for your recitation. So when you recited washayatina, similar point to the previous sister, where the ta was not given full mouth pronunciation. Okay, sister, you said washayatina is straight sound of the ta. Okay, this should be the letter ta. Okay, the way we say ta, we need to say ti as well. Ta and ti, give that full mouth pronunciation. Washayatina, tina. We need to utilize the middle of the tongue. Okay, not the tip. Otherwise, you will recite the letter ta. The last point is fil asfad. Okay, sister, when you stopped on that letter, on that word, the qalqala was not there at all. Okay, you said fil asfad. It should be fil asfad. Let the bounce take place. And here, especially, it's called qalqalatul kubra, the heavier or the bigger one. It's at the end of the word. So make sure you, inshallah, emphasize on this point. If there are 5 letters, you need to focus on those 5 letters and memorize them as well, inshallah. Okay, so these are some of the points to take on board and to really practice at them when you can. Brothers and sisters, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be gone for a very, very short break. Do stay where you are, inshallah, and also try to pick up the phone and take part in today's show, inshallah. Wa jazakum Allah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alif, Laam, Meem. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Welcome back to another episode of Alif, Laam, Meem. Today we are going through Surah Al-Sad, and the verses are verse number 37 to verse number 40. So once again, a reminder to everyone, inshallah, today's surah is Surah Al-Sad from verse number 37 to verse number 40. If you want to take part inshallah, in today's show, call us via the numbers that are placed at the bottom of your screen. We now move on to inshallah our caller. Let's take the call. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sister Taskin, you are live in the studios. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khairan.
How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. I believe it's Sister Taskin. When you're ready, you may begin, please, sister.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Barakallah fiki for your recitation, Sister Taskin. So when you recited وَالشَّيَاطِينَ كُلَّ بَنَّاءٍ وَغَوَّاصٍ, now when you were doing mad on the letter waw, it did sound as though to the end of the pronunciation, the waw became full mouth. Okay? غَوَّاص. Okay, it started empty and then ended off full mouth. Okay, again, when it comes to these sort of recitation on letters such as waw, such as meem, noon, lam, there are letters where it can very easily be changed into full mouth. Okay, we need to be controlled and maintain that emptiness, inshallah. So, وَالشَّيَاطِينَ كُلَّ بَنَّاءٍ وَغَوَّاصٍ. So make sure that the circle, okay, the oval shape you make to the lips is not expanded too much. Okay, it should be very controlled. Jazakallah khairan. We now move on to the next reciter. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan, Sister Taskin, for your participation. When you're ready, you can start, please.
Inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan for your recitation, my dear sister. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, good recitation for today. Barakallah feek. Let's move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sister Nilufa, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
You can start, sister, when you're ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan for your recitation, Sister Nilufa. So, when we started أو أمسك بغير حساب. Now, with the letter غين, it's a throat letter. Now, we cannot involve the lips. We cannot say بغير. Okay, automatically you can hear the difference. بغير, the correct way, which is just the throat, and to add on the lips to the pronunciation, it changes. بغير غير. So make sure again, sister, whether it's ghain or whether it's the letter ha or ta, if it is not a lip letter, we keep it away. Okay? If it is a lip letter like ba, fa, mim, and wa, we involve the lips. Okay? And so this is why letters have been put into groups. Okay? The throat letters, the tongue letters, the lip letters, letters that are recited from the nose, noon and mim. And we need to be aware of this. We need to know this. Okay? So we don't end up involving the lips when it's not a lip letter, or the tongue when it's not a tongue letter. Okay, so be very careful, inshallah, and try your best to memorize which letter is from which group. Jazakallahu khairan. Let's move on to our next caller, Sister Begum and Sister Shumana. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Ustadh.
Mashallah, you can start, please, sister.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sister Begum. So we start with وآخرين. The letter خا, it's a heavy letter, تفخيم letter. We don't say وآخ, وآخرين, خ. Okay, the heaviness. If we say وآخرين, very soft, very empty. Okay, so keep that in mind. Number two is when you recited the word zulfa with the letter lam, there was a slight qalqala taking place. Zulfa, okay, zulfa, very subtle, yet you can still hear it as well. Zule, it should be zul, zulfa. Hold on to the sound, inshallah, okay? And especially, we need to know the makhraj of this letter lam. So the makhraj is that the tip of the tongue will lift up and touch the root of your top tooth. Now, when you are reciting the letter lam, especially when the letter lam has a sakina on top, we need to maintain the pronunciation. Okay, we need to make sure, number one, that the tip of the tongue is touching the top, the root. Number two is we keep it in its place. We cannot disconnect from it. Okay, like the letter ba or like the letter dal. Otherwise, qalqala will take place. And this is very important. Okay, that we don't do qalqala on letters that are not part of that group. So to say zulefa will be incorrect. Okay, it's zulfa. Jazakallah khairan for your recitation today. You can now pass the phone over to Sister Shumana. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Jazakallah for your call today, sister. You can start when you're ready, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, sister Shumana, mashallah, a much better recitation today. May Allah bless you, may Allah reward you. I can see, mashallah, you have put effort in and you have, mashallah, taken the feedback on board that we have given you. May Allah bless you, may Allah reward you. Just one thing for today, sister, is the pronunciation of ha. So when you recited wa husna, the ha was a bit soft, okay? So make sure we differentiate the ha from ha, okay? One is ha heavy and one is ha soft, okay? Now, again, both are, yes, throat letters, but they are from different parts of the throat. Okay, so ha, which is the letter here, it is from the middle of the throat, alongside of ayn. And ha, in, for example, the Surah Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, it's the softer, from the bottom of your throat, so closer to your chest. Ihdina. So here, it's a bit heavier, it's a bit sharper. Okay, Husna, ma'ab. Hope you benefited, sister, inshallah. But like that, mashallah, put your effort in and you'll definitely see a difference to your recitation. Let's move on to our next caller, Sister Bilqis. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Ustad.
You may begin, sister, when you are ready, please.
Inshallah, Ustad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Bilqis. MashaAllah, good recitation. So when you recited أو أمسك بغير حساب, so with the letter kaf, now we can see that the letter kaf does have a sakin on top, but the letter must not be recited with qalqala. We cannot say أو أمسك بغير, okay, even though again it's a soft, but yet the sound is clear. Okay, أو أمسك. Okay, we need to avoid that totally. أو أمسك بغير حساب. So finish the sound, okay, complete the sound, and then you move on, okay? Don't let the sound carry on to the next letter, okay? Otherwise, you will end up doing qalqala, and the sound will be very clear. So, أو أمسك بغير حساب. So each letter give 100% to inshallah, and take your time. With every letter that you recite, whether it's kaf, ta, ba, or jim, give it time inshallah, okay? And you will see that you are reciting every letter clearly with the correct pronunciation. Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sister Bilqis. May Allah bless you for your efforts. We now move on to our next caller. We bring on inshallah Sister Khanam. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Baba, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Baba.
MashaAllah,
Baba,
you may
help
start,
me,
sister.
please.
Inshallah.
Okay, Baba. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا أو أمسك.
So don't stretch your sister. عطاؤنا.
Okay, Baba. هذا عطاؤنا فأمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan for your recitation, sister. So when you recited ata'una, okay, alongside of the waw, when you apart from stretching it, the letter ta. Now the letter ta, sister, again we need to emphasize on the sound. We cannot change the ta to ta, even for a second. So ta has its own quality. Ta, not ata. Okay, it shouldn't be in the middle. It should be either ta or ta. And here it's the letter ta. Thereafter, sister, when you recited عندنا la zulfa, we don't stretch the lam here. We don't say la zulfa. Otherwise, it gives a different meaning to it. Okay, la zulfa, the lam is a short letter. And we need to keep it short, inshallah. Again, for yourself and for everyone who is listening at home, that fatha does not indicate that we apply mad. Yes, it's a part, okay, of the puzzle, which should be alif there, but on its own, it shouldn't be stretched. Okay, so if there's a fatha and there's an alif next to it, then we stretch. But on its own, the fatha will not stretch any letters. Okay, so keep that in mind, inshallah. عندنا la zulfa and not la zulfa. Jazakallah khairan. I hope you're benefiting, inshallah. Most importantly, I hope you take it on board, my dear sister. Let's move on to our next reciter, Sister Aisha. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Aisha, you're live in the studio. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Jazakallah khairan. You may begin, please, when you are ready.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, sister, for your recitation. May Allah reward you and bless you for your efforts, inshallah. Very beautifully delivered recitation. Jazakallah. Let's move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu Ustadh.
Wa alaikum salam. How is Sister Akhtar?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well, sister. Jazakallah khairan for your call. When you are ready, sister, you may begin, please.
Ustadh, I'm two people.
Inshallah, no problem. You can start first and thereafter the second person.
Second Khaif. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإنه عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan, sister Akhtar, for your recitation. So, when you recited fil asfad, make sure the fa it's a bit more softer, number one, and number two is the fa should be recited empty mouth, not full mouth, not fad. So fil asfad, fad, very narrowed sound, inshallah ta'ala, not too full mouth. And the next thing was, sister, bighayri hisab. The ha, it's a heavy letter here, sister, okay? It should not be changed into the letter ha. And this is very important. We need to differentiate the ha from ha, vice versa. Okay? Yes, both are throat letters, but both have been given its own part in the throat. One is from the middle, one is from the bottom. So when we are reciting, inshallah, we need to know the difference, and especially in the pronunciation, they need to be different as well. Okay, keep that in mind, sister. May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you. I'll be taking, inshallah, the next reciter after the break, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, do stay where you are. I'll be taking your calls and listen to your recitation straight after the very short break. Wa jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alif Laam Meem. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى هدى للمتقين. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters, welcome back to the Alif Laam Meem show. Today, brothers and sisters, we are going through Surah Al-Sad, inshallah, verse number 37 to verse number 40. If you want to take part and you want to call in and recite, call us on 0203 515 0757. And if you live abroad and also want to participate, call us via the WhatsApp number. Let's inshallah straight move to our callers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Jazakumullahu khairan. When you're ready, you can start your recitation, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص.
You need to join it.
بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في
الصاد هذا عطاؤنا فأومن
هذا again.
بغير
If you could say that again for me, please. هذا عطاء.
هذا عطاؤنا فمن أمسك بغير
فمن
حساب
أو أمسك.
فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له إداد لرلفا.
Say that again, please. وإن له عندنا
وعندنا زلفى وحسن مآب.
Barakallah feek. A good try. May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you. Now, when you recited kulla, okay, there was a stretch on the letter lam. We cannot say kulla banna. Okay, the lam does not have any signs of mad here. The next thing is when you recited kulla banna iw. Now here, brother, there is a rule which is known as idgham. Now, why is it idgham? Because the rule is that if there is a tanween, okay, or there's a nun sakina, and after it you have one of the four letters of idgham with ghunna, you must merge and you recite with ghunna, inshallah. Okay, and tanween, for those who may not have heard of that term, it is a double fatha, a double kasra, and a double dhamma. Okay, so here we have a double kasra underneath the hamza, and straight after it, it's the letter waw. So we say كل بناء وغواص. Keep that in mind, inshallah. Let's move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khairan for your recitation. Sister Nasruddin, you can start when you're ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمن أمسك بغير حساب.
Repeat that for me again. هذا عطاء.
هذا عطاؤنا فمن أمسك.
So sister, here we don't bounce on the meem nor the nun. We don't say famanune, famnun aw amsik.
هذا عطاؤنا فمن أمسك بغير حساب.
So if you follow me, inshallah. هذا عطاؤنا فمنن أو أمسك. So with the letter meem, it's a lip letter. We must close the lips. We don't allow it to disconnect. Not فمنن. فمنن أو أمسك. Okay, so take your time, inshallah. Try not to pace the recitation, بإذن. So if you could try that again for me.
هذا عطاؤنا فمنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Much better, mashallah. So, to clarify here, sister, Meem and Noon are not qalqala letters, and this is a common mistake where some understand that Meem and Noon are qalqala letters, even if they have a sakin on top, and that's not correct. Okay, qalqala letters only consist of 5: qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. Okay, and to clarify once again, brothers and sisters, that if the letter Meem and the letter Noon have a sakina on top, it does not give us the right to do qalqala on it just because of the sakina. Okay, we must know that there are only 5 letters and only those. Okay, so again, for yourself and for everyone who's listening at home, we cannot bounce on those letters. We cannot say فَمَنُونَ أو أمسك. Just فَمْنُن أو أمسك. بارك الله فيك وأحسن الله إليكم. Let's move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister, you can start when you're ready, please.
Okay, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Very good recitation, mashallah. Just one thing for yourself, sister, is the letter ha. So when you recited عندنا لزلفى حسن وحسن, so here, sister, the letter ha, it's heavy. And not ha, not husna or husn. So make sure the ha is from the middle of the throat, not from the bottom. Okay? Jazakallah khairan. Overall, a very good recitation. Let's move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sister Rizbi, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Ustad.
Alhamdulillah. When you are ready, sister, you can start, please, inshallah.
Inshallah, Ustad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, sister, for your recitation, mashallah. So, for yourself, sister, when you recited أو أمسك بغير حساب, so with the letter kaf again, to not bounce on the letter, not أمسك بغير. Okay, we need to control that recitation. أو أمسك بغير حساب. The ba at the end, that is a letter of qalqala, and that is when we bounce on the letter. Okay, so once again, for yourself, inshallah, to memorize the letters of qalqala, so you know exactly which letters to bounce on. Okay, and we won't end up bouncing on all the letters that have sakina. And this is very important, inshallah. Okay, yes, sakina does play a part, but only for the qalqala letters. Besides those, if any letter from the Arabic alphabet has a sakina on top, we must not do qalqala. Okay, we must be careful and we must be controlled with the recitation, inshallah. Let's move on to our next caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khairan, Abdul Hakim. When you are ready, you may start, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
جزاكم الله خيرا, Brother Abdul Hakim. Just for yourself, inshallah, أو أمسك بغير حساب. Okay, the letter غين, it's a full mouth letter. Okay, بغير. Make sure you expand the mouth. غ. And then also that vibrating sound, inshallah, you should feel it as the reciter. And make sure that again, it's not reciting using the tongue. It's a throat. So بغير. Okay, recite it with the throat, inshallah. أو أمسك بغير حساب. Keep that in mind. Okay, جزاكم الله خيرا. You may now pass the phone over to your sister. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Jazakillah, Sister Zina, you can start when you're ready, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan. So, Sister Zina, one thing to focus on is your mad. Okay, so for example, mad al-asli, أعطاؤنا, the noon must be stretched. Okay, and this again does not just apply for noon. Okay, this rule is for all the letters when you are reciting. So the rule is that if there is a letter with a fatha on top of it, and after it you have an alif, okay, then you do mad. Okay, so if you look at the letter noon, it has a fatha on top of it, and thereafter it has a alif next to it. Okay, so you must stretch عطاؤنا na, and the maximum is 2 counts. You cannot go more than that. So keep that in mind, inshallah. Otherwise, it will become another mad. So keep in mind that mad al-asli has 3: alif with a fatha before it, waw with a dhamma before it, and ya with a kasra before it. Okay, those are the 3 criteria for mad al-asli. So I hope you have benefited, inshallah, and try your best to take it on board and apply it in your future recitation. We now move on to our next reciter. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
Zakila, sister, you can start when you're ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, sister, for your recitation, mashallah. So, when you recite, sister, the letter ta, okay, the letter ta completely changed into ta. So you said هذا أتاؤنا, okay. Now, when you said ta, you are utilizing the tip of the tongue. Now, for ta, which is the correct letter here, it needs to be the middle. هذا عطاؤنا طاؤنا. And make sure for yourself and for everyone as well that when you are reciting the letter ta in the form of mad, when you are stretching, you must maintain the makhraj of that letter. Now what happens, okay, is you recite with the ta, okay, full mouth, and then at the end it drops and it becomes empty mouth. Okay, that shouldn't be the case. It should be consistent all the way through for the duration of that mad. Okay, so keep that in mind, inshallah. Okay, so هذا عطاؤنا. Okay, consistent, and make sure you're using the middle of the tongue and not the tip. Okay, otherwise you change it into ta. So not only the letter is changing, but the meaning as well. Okay, and this is a major mistake. Jazakallah khairan for your effort. We now move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. You may start, sister, when you're ready, please.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, sister, mashallah, a very good recitation from yourself. Just one thing is the letter kaf. Give hamd to it. Okay, a bit more clear recitation. أو أمسك بغير حساب. Okay, Jazakallah khairan for your recitation. Let's now take our next caller, Mrs. Mia. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam, sister. You may start when you are ready, please, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan for your recitation, sister Mia. When you recited the letter ta, okay, this time again there was involvement of the lips. هذا عطاؤنا. Okay, again the letter ta is not a lip letter, sister. It's a tongue letter. So we cannot merge any of the makharij together. Okay, so هذا عطاؤنا. So again, as you saw, that there wasn't even a slight involvement of the lips. Okay, and we need to be consistent with that, inshallah ta'ala. And lastly, the qalqalatu kubra, make that clear. So وَحُسْنَ مَآبٍ. Let the bounce take place, inshallah, where the lips connect and then they disconnect from one another. Make that clear and make that heavy, inshallah ta'ala. حُسْنَ مَآبٍ. Jazakallah khairan, may Allah reward you and bless you. For those, inshallah, who want to take part, call us on 0203 515 0757 and use the WhatsApp number if you're calling from abroad. I'll see you after the break. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alif Laam Meem. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the last and final segment of the show called Alif Laam Meem. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll be going through Surah Al-Sad, verse number 37 to verse number 40. Inshallah, let's take our call. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan for your call. When you're ready, brother, you can start, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, brother, for your recitation, mashallah. Now, when you recited وَالشَّيَاطِينَ, make sure the letter ta, okay, we still maintain the full mouth pronunciation. We don't say وَالشَّيَاطِي. It's وَالشَّيَاطِينَ. Make it full mouth. We then move on to the word kulla. Okay, this word, brother, has the letter lam within it. Now, the letter lam has a fatha on top, but the fatha does not make the lam long. So we cannot say kulla banna. It's washayatina kulla banna. Kulla. The letter is short, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan to you. May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you. Moving to our next caller, Sister Khan. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah. You can start when you're ready, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الشياطين كل نباء
Again, sister.
الشياطين كل نباء
كل بنا
بناء وغواص وآخرين مقربين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا أنا فأمنا أو أمسك
Again, sister.
بغير حساب.
Sister, take your time. Again, هذا عطاء.
هذا عطاؤنا
Una. The Hamza is short. Una.
فأمنا أو أمسك بغير حساب.
Sister, here again, repeat after me, please. فَمْنُن أو أمسك. It's not فَأم. It's فَم. The fa joins with the meem. فَمْنُن. Sister, you're adding alif to it. Okay, it's not fa'a, it's fam. هذا عطاؤنا فمنن. Okay, don't add the alif.
هذا عطاؤنا
Una. Hamza is short. Una.
أو
هذا
بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى حسن مآب
وحسن
مآب.
A very good try from yourself, sister. Now, there are very important points to take on board for yourself, inshallah. Number one is, okay, the letter ghain. We don't say gawas, okay? The ghain should come from the throat and not from the tongue, okay? Meaning, we should not be using the tongue solely to pronounce the ghain. Okay, it's from the throat, and we need to maintain the inshallah. So كل بناء وغواص, غ, not g. Okay, otherwise you're only using the tongue. We then move on to هذا أطاؤنا. Now here we don't say una. It was repetitive. We don't say una. It's una. Hamza must be short inshallah. Then famnun. Okay, sister, you added an alif there. Now there shouldn't be any sort of alif added on. We don't say fa'amnun. It's fam. Fa mim fatha fam. Famnun. Okay, again, this comes with slowing down the pronunciation. Okay, and focusing on the letters inshallah. So to clarify again, this is not an alif. Okay, that should be pronounced. It's part of the fa. So we say the fa, we connect the fa to the letter mim. Fam nun, not fa am nun. Keep that in mind inshallah. And then when you recited wa husna, again the waw was taken out. It should be recited. Wa husna ma'ab. So very important points to remember and to take it on board inshallah. But the main point is to implement it in the recitation. Okay? Jazakallahu khairan. We move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Mr. Khanum, you can start when you're ready, please.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل مناع وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمنن أو أمسك
فمنن أو أمسك. No bouncing.
فمنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى حسنى
وحسن
لزلفى وحسنى مآب
لزلفى وحسن مآب
لزلفى وحسنى مآب.
Sister, the noon is not long. The noon is short. وحسن مآب.
وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan. So, when you recited famnun aw amsik, okay, this is a common mistake, but it's a major mistake as well. Now, to keep in mind that the meem is not qalqala at all. Okay, even if the meem does have a sakina, we cannot say famanune. Okay, aw ama. It's famnun. Now, if you look at me carefully, sister, you can see that when I pronounce the meem, the lips are sealed together. Okay, we don't allow them to disconnect. Famnun aw amsik. Now, when I mean to disconnect, obviously, yes, we need to disconnect to move on to the next letter. But whilst you are pronouncing the meem, it shouldn't disconnect. Okay, that is what it means, inshallah. Okay, so keep in mind, we don't say famama. It's famnun aw amsik. Okay, take every letter. Prepare for every letter. Don't mix and don't look too ahead. Okay, otherwise you will forget what you're reading at that moment. So keep that in mind, inshallah. This is very, very important for yourself and for everyone, okay, who's going through this of making the meem full mouth. Number one is to remember the makhraj. This is very important. Okay, the first rule that one should know when studying tajweed is makharij. Okay, to know how the letters are pronounced, okay, and where the letters are coming out from. So keep that in mind, inshallah, okay? Fam, nun, aw, sik. We then move on to the next part. Zulfa, the fa is stretched. Okay, the symbol that you can see which is on top of it, okay, is referred to as a standing fatha. Okay, so if a letter, not just fa, any letter has the symbol on top, we must stretch. Okay, zulfa wa husna ma'ab. But the noon is short. Okay, we cannot mix. The mad should remain as mad, the short ones should remain short, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. I hope you benefited and I hope, inshallah, you will be taken on board. Let's swiftly move into our next caller, Sister Majida. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today, sister?
I'm all right, thank you very much.
MashaAllah, you may start when you are ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Majida, mashallah. A very big improvement has been made to your recitation. May Allah bless you and keep up with your hard work. Now, one thing is, هذا عطاء. Make sure the ta, you're not restricting the sound. Okay, so for example, the ta, it's a lip letter, it's a tongue letter. Okay, but obviously to recite it naturally, the lips must open. But when you are allowing it to open, make sure it does not expand too much. هذا عطاء. Okay, control it. Okay, at the same time maintaining that full mouth. So it's simply like this. هذا عطاء طاء, not طاء. Okay, you can see the difference. One is a bit narrowed in and one is a bit expanded. Okay, so keep that in mind, inshallah. Control and make every letter as clear as possible. Jazakallah khairan for your participation. We now move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah, you can start when you're ready, please, sister.
Please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاء
Don't stretch the ain, sister.
Oh, sorry, Baba. هذا عطاء.
Again, there's a stretch. هذا عطاء.
هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sister Khanam, for your recitation, mashallah. Now, when you recited famnun aw amsik, now there was a qaf being pronounced instead of kaf. We don't say aw amsik. Okay, it's famnun aw amsik bi ghayri hisab. Okay, make sure you differentiate between kaf and qaf. Okay, we cannot mix, and this is a common mistake, at the same time a major mistake. Okay, because that slight pronunciation can change the meaning of that word. Okay, which then results in the major mistake. So, with the letter kaf, it is not recited from the back of the tongue, not right at the back of the tongue. That is for the qaf. Kaf is just in front, inshallah. Okay, it's between the middle of the tongue and the back of the tongue. Okay, that is where the makhraj of the kaf lies. So, aw amsik, sik bi ghayri hisab. Jazakallahu khairan for your call today. We now move on to our next recital, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Ustad?
Alhamdulillah. You can start when you're ready, please.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص
وآخرين
وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan for your recitation. Sister, for you, just عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب. With the letter sin, make it clear, okay? No extra bouncing on it, inshallah. Not حسن, just حسن مآب. Okay, Jazakallah khairan for your call. We now take our next call, inshallah. Sister Razna, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister Razna, you can start when you're ready, please, inshallah.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فمن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب.
Jazakallah khairan, sister, for your recitation, mashallah. A very good recitation. Just one thing to focus on is the fluency of the recitation, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, try to again be fluent with the recitation and not to stop after every word. Okay, because it does change some of the structure of the sentences, inshallah ta'ala. So keep that in mind, that when you're stopping, try to stop correctly after a couple of words and then you go back and resume, inshallah. Okay, that is the correct way of reciting. But nevertheless, a very good recitation and a very good end to our show today. And unfortunately, brothers and sisters, we have come to the end of today's show, and that was our last caller for today. But inshallah, tune in tomorrow on Eman Channel from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. where we listen to a recitation, provide you with a live feedback, inshallah, so you take it on board and you implement in your recitation, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And for tomorrow, practice the next couple of verses of Surah Al-Sad. Until next time, I leave you with the blessings of Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. Wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين